Okay, let's dive right into this. Narendra Modi. He commands the attention of literally 1.4 billion citizens and stands right at the absolute center of modern global geopolitics. Today, we're taking a structured, strictly impartial look at the life and career of Narendra Das Modi, who's been the Prime Minister of India since 2014. So whether you're someone who tracks every single movement in New Delhi, or you just want to understand India's shifting footprint on the world stage, this explainer is going to decode the exact milestones that built his unprecedented trajectory.
It's a fascinating question, isn't it? I mean, how exactly did a boy who once helped his father at a modest local tea stall navigate the incredibly complex, diverse political landscape of India to become the leader of the world's largest democracy? It really is a story of an unlikely and rapid rise, one characterized by massive political shifts, major economic initiatives, and, of course, intense public debate.
To map out this journey, we'll move through 5 key phases. First, early life and ascent. Then, the Gujarat tenure, reshaping domestic policy, India on the global stage, and finally, we'll look at the leadership debate.
Let's start with Section 1, Early Life and Ascent, the Unlikely Rise.
To really understand the massive political trajectory that followed, we've got to look at the micro-level beginnings. Narendra Modi was born on September 17, 1950, in Vadnagar, which is an ancient town in Gujarat. Coming from a very modest family, he spent parts of his childhood helping his father run a small tea stall at the local railway station. But, alongside pulling shifts at the stall, he developed this intense, driving interest in public service. As a young man, he actually walked away from a typical family life to travel across India, eventually dedicating himself full-time to the RSS, or Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. This sprawling, grassroots volunteer organization basically became his true training ground. It deeply shaped his relentless organizational skills and his foundational political ideology.
Let's move to the timeline and see how this builds, because his ascent certainly didn't happen overnight. After years of doing that groundwork, 1987 marked a major turning point when he officially joined the BJP, the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, he didn't just start at the top, he worked tirelessly behind the scenes as a master organizer, systematically building up party networks and steadily rising through the ranks over the course of a decade. All that exhaustive groundwork laid the foundation for 2001, which is when he was tapped to take over as the chief minister of his home state of Gujarat.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Gujarat tenure, growth and controversy.
This 13-year period, from 2001 to 2014, was absolutely pivotal. It basically served as the testing ground for his governance style. During his time as chief minister, Modi's government focused heavily on aggressive economic modernization. Through highly publicized initiatives like the biennial Vibrant Gujarat Summits, he pitched the state directly to global CEOs, drawing in billions in corporate investment. And supporters widely credit his tenure with driving double-digit economic growth, dramatically expanding the highway networks, and stabilizing the electricity grid for both everyday citizens and industry alike. This intense focus on bureaucratic efficiency and rapid economic acceleration, well, that effectively became the absolute cornerstone of his entire political brand.
However, his time in Gujarat also remains highly controversial, primarily due to the tragic events of the 2002 Gujarat riots. According to official estimates, more than 1,000 people were killed in the horrific violence, the vast majority of whom were Muslims. The state government's handling of the riots faced intense, widespread scrutiny. In the aftermath, multiple investigations were launched, including one by a special investigation team appointed by India's Supreme Court. Ultimately, that team concluded there was insufficient evidence to prosecute Modi personally. But despite this official legal clearance, these events matter deeply today. They forged a highly polarized lens through which many global observers and critics still view his leadership legacy.
That brings us to Section 3, Reshaping Domestic Policy, Leading the Nation. The economic narrative he built in Gujarat really propelled Modi to the national stage, leading the BJP to sweeping victories in the 2014, 2019, and 2024 general elections. Once in office, his administration launched government initiatives on a scale rarely seen anywhere in the world. And this brilliantly illustrates what that looks like on the ground. To put it into perspective, just imagine the impact on a single rural citizen. Under the Jan Dhan Yojana, they are suddenly brought into the formal economy, an initiative that opened over 500 million new bank accounts for folks who were previously unbanked. Then, through Ayushman Bharat, that same family gains access to a sweeping national health insurance program. Swachh Bharat systematically built millions of toilets in a nationwide sanitation push, while Digital India brought them online, connecting vast rural populations to government services right on their smartphones. These are highly coordinated, massive efforts targeted directly at changing everyday realities.
And that domestic reshaping extended heavily into the macroeconomic and physical landscape of the country, too.
Make in India was launched to aggressively turn the nation into a global manufacturing hub, really aiming to draw supply chains away from competitors. To support all that, PM Gatish Shakti was rolled out as a massive master plan for logistics coordination. The sheer physical scale here is staggering. We were literally talking about tens of thousands of kilometers of new national highways constructed in just a few short years, plus a massive jump in global renewable rankings, with India radically expanding its solar energy capacity to power this brand new industrial infrastructure.
All right, Section 4. India on the global stage, shifting foreign policy.
So, the massive internal modernization efforts we just looked at were matched by a highly proactive, highly visible approach to international relations. Modi has prioritized building much stronger strategic ties with key global powers, like the United States, European nations, and Japan. But he does this with a very personalized diplomatic style. Instead of just your standard formal handshakes, he's known for warm bear hugs with world leaders, and for addressing massive stadium-sized rallies of the Indian diaspora, from the famous Howdy Modi event in Houston to completely sold-out arenas in Sydney. Through active roles in the G20, the BRICS alliance, and the Quad security dialogue, his explicit goal has been to showcase a confident India as an absolutely indispensable global and strategic partner.
And this hyperactive diplomacy has yielded some really tangible international recognition. Throughout his terms as Prime Minister, Modi has frequently popped up on prestigious global lists of the world's most influential leaders. He's also been awarded several high-ranking international civilian honors from a super diverse array of nations across the Middle East, Europe, and beyond. So, why does all this matter? Well, it matters immensely because it reflects a new geopolitical reality. Under his administration, India is no longer viewed merely as a developing participant, but really as a necessary, central pillar in the modern global order.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, the leadership debate, weighing the legacy.
Look, no political figure of this magnitude exists without complex, deeply polarized viewpoints surrounding their governance, so the crucial point is understanding how these two distinct perspectives operate. Think of it like a giant scale. On one side of the scale, supporters vehemently praise his strong, direct communication skills, his relentless focus on infrastructure, and his decisive decision-making style. They look at the massive digital transformations and see a leader who has fundamentally accelerated the country's development on the world stage. But on the exact other side of the scale, critics raise serious, persistent concerns. They point to an over-centralization of power, they voice intense worries regarding the health of democratic institutions and civil liberties, and they express deep concern over increasing religious and political polarization within the country. Both of these perspectives, the profound admiration and the intense criticism, are absolutely essential to grasping the full reality of modern Indian politics.
Which brings us to our final thought today. Narendra Modi is undoubtedly one of the most influential political figures in modern Indian history. His journey from that tea stall in Vadnagar to the absolute heights of global diplomacy is a testament to immense political will. But as we look at the incredible infrastructure growth, the sweeping digital transformation, and India's rising global standing, right alongside the very real, ongoing debates concerning social cohesion and democratic norms, we are left with a vital question. How will history ultimately weigh India's rapid economic rise against the intense, polarizing debates of his era? History is literally being written right now, and the whole world is watching. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.